As usual, Tumblr first. I'm having trouble with Facebook connections lately. All right, while Facebook is loading, I'll start on Discord. This has been another rough day, unfortunately, so I am dragging my butt like crazy. Aw, puppy. Aw. Somebody lost their puppy. More updates and patching for PoE. All right. All right. Let's see if Facebook is loaded. Does not look like it. Ah, there we go. Okay. All right. Hey, the cords aren't a horrible mess of spaghetti today. Look at that big old picture of Titus right on the front page. Dumb. So getting a little bit of Titus's history here. I already know Titus's history, so we're not going to go through that. We know about the made to order and what was coming out with all the kill team stuff. This is mostly kill team stuff, but in case you didn't know, there's Space Marines made to order right now. I don't know exactly which Space Marines they've got on made to order. Wonder if they actually put it. So we got Company Command, Heroes of the First Company, and that seems like it's it. And then there's this whole thing. They're changing up some formats in Warhammer Plus, and they're going to try to increase the variety of stuff on the channel, on the their service, and see if that can spice it up a bit. Because it certainly does need more spicing up. Unfortunately, what it really needs is, as we all know, it needs more animations. It needs more actual, like, high-end content. Like, I do find, like, in particular, I used to watch Masterclass a lot. Pardon me. Which is how I came to follow up with hobbies, was through Masterclass. But there's just a lot of the content that's on Warhammer Plus is content that's being done already on YouTube for free, and in many cases better. I wish, like, if they put, like, I'll give you a perfect example, like the lore content, the lore videos. If they put a little bit more effort into those, if they'd actually, like, commissioned and created, like, new bespoke art and animations to go alongside some of those lore videos, I think those would be much more enjoyable, and I think people would like them more. Pardon me. But they're using existing art assets. The narration is high quality narration, but, you know, there's high quality narration on YouTube as well, so. But yeah, they need to improve the quality of the shows, not the frequency of the shows, in my opinion. They need more shows of at least approaching the quality of, like, Astartes and Exodite and Iron Within. Dang it. As I say, don't get allergies, it's a trap. But yeah, they need more of those kinds of shows. Like, they don't have to all be, like, high quality, crazy levels of animation, but they need to feel like professionally produced shows and not something you can find from a YouTuber. Like, that's what they need to do. But we're not here to talk about Warhammer Plus. We are here to talk about something G-Dub has been knocking out of the park, and that is these Grotmas goodies. Now, this is one. Let me go ahead and do that, actually. This is one we can actually do a little bit easy comparison on. I'm not going to go in-depth into comparison, but mostly, like, for just brushing up on what the detachment rules are. If my brain will actually start working. Today is not going to be a good day for my concentration levels, it looks like. Whether I am acid or base, I am weak. All right, Chaos Knights, most recent codex, or index, I should say. And then Imperial Knights. All right. So this first ability is the army roll. And you can see the army rolls for knights are kind of complex because, well, they have the whole ability that you can hire a free blade and add them to your army. And that's where that is. And also they've got special rules because, well, they're a unique army. They don't behave like other armies. So they need rules like the super heavy walker rule. You know, they had to change bondsman abilities. Unfortunately, we kind of wish they change them back. I don't know if they can do that and still be able to balance them, but. And then right now, their army rule for Imperial Knights is you choose one of these oaths. And they've clarified this, that you get to reroll 1 hit roll and you can reroll 1 wound roll every time you shoot or fight. Honestly, like I think everyone still, even with the fact this is only reroll 1 hit and reroll 1 wound, I still think a lot of people sleep on Reclaim the Realm. It's my understanding that everyone takes Lalo the Tyrant. But especially with certain mobility issues, like you would think Reclaim the Realm, maybe if they added this, made this a 2-inch move, people might take it more. And then for Chaos Knights, we've got the whole, their rule revolves around Battle Shock. And this is one of the armies where Battle Shark is Battle Shark. This is an army where Battle Shark is relevant. Of course, we all know Battle Shark is always relevant. No one messes with Battle Shark. But this is one of the armies where Battle Shock is relevant because they actually benefit from their opponent being battle shocked. So not only do they inflict battle shock more often, but because they benefit from battle shock rules, then that makes battle shocking your opponent something you do want to go out of your way to do. So I would say these are both decent army rules. Like this one at the beginning was a little on the weaker side. I would still argue it might still be on the weaker side. Whereas this one is a little bit stronger because rerolls are powerful. Also, the fact that you get to choose matters. Like anytime you get to choose, that inherently increases the power because that means you've got more flexibility when you face different opponents. And it's easier to make a singles take-all comer list. All right. So, right at the moment, the detachment rule, and this is as far as we're going to go into the old detachments. So right at the moment, the detachment rule for the Traitoris Lance is Forged in Terror, which is an aura. In the battle stop Shek of your Shek. I'm not as think as you drunk I am. In the battle shock step of your opponent's command phase, if an enemy unit that is below its starting strength is within 12 inches of a Chaos Knight model from your army, that enemy unit must take a battle shock test. For the purpose of this ability, if a unit has a starting strength of 1, it is considered to be below its starting strength while it has lost 1 or more wounds. Okay? And then this basically means that when you are in close range with Chaos Knights, it changes the rules for when you take a battle shock test. This is not in addition to the other battle shock tests that you would normally take. It just changes when you take it. So before, you only take a battle shock test if you're below half strength. Now you take below a battle shock test if you've taken basically any damage. You take damage, you have to take battle shock tests as long as you're within 12 inches of a Chaos Knight. So again, this is a case where the detachment rule really synergizes with the army rule. So I'm curious what they're going to do, how they're going to create a new detachment rule that will also be powerful when combined with the army rule. Pardon me. Especially since we've got the theme in this of how, the traitor fighting against traitor knights is a horrific experience. Well, what other theme are you going to dive into while still making sure you've got synergy or that you've got relevant rules? One option they can do is just have a really powerful detachment rule. If your detachment rule is powerful, the synergy doesn't matter as much. And then for our Noble Lance, we've got Indomitable Heroes, which is absolutely fantastic. All Imperial Knights models from your army have the Feel No Pain 6+ ability. If your army is honored, those models have the Feel No Pain 5+ ability. So, in order to become honored, you have to complete your oath. This is one of the reasons I think Reclaim the Realm is being slept on. But there are times when your opponent has, like, for example, if you're facing Necrons and they bring Caesaric, okay, Caesaric's, has to be the Warlord. If you're facing me and I bring a Swarm Lord, the Swarm Lord has to be my Warlord. So when you're facing an army where they want to have their Warlord out and on the battlefield, then you can get Layla of the Tyrant easily. But if you're not, then maybe Reclaim the Realm is a better way to be honored. But either way, like, Feel No Pain 6+, even with how many wounds knights have and how many wounds it looks like they might be getting, the Feel No Pain 6+ is still very powerful. But obviously, if you can get to that Feel No Pain 5+, that's even better. But Imperial Knight households have been struggling on the battlefield, so getting to that 5+ is it is a challenge. So this is going to be one. This is just a good ability that is on top of their other rules. It doesn't have any synergy. So any other good ability will provide you flexibility in which detachment you can take. All right, with that all said, after a especially pious day in the Grotmas calendar yesterday, we returned to one of the true messages of the season. Gigantic armored machines knocking lumps out of one another in the Iconoclast fiefdom and the Questor Forge Pack detachments. See if you can guess who's been naughty and who's been nice just from the names. The Iconoclast fiefdom. When the fallen nobles of Iconoclast houses go to war, they are followed by teeming masses of mutants, cultists, and heretic soldiers. These odd mortals often offer chanted prayers to these towering beacons of corruption, worshipping them as mechanical idols to the dark gods. Rushing forward around clawed feet, these accursed hordes scream battle cries and sing their devotion as they hurl themselves at the foe. As the death count escalates, the fallen nobles rejoice in the bloodshed, the warp-twisted mechanisms of their throne mechanicum feeding upon the sacrifice of their thralls and infusing the pilots and steed with ever greater infernal might. This sounds like this is going to be like the Brood Brothers detachment for Genestealer Call. This sounds like it's all about taking a combined arms force. And I am here for that. I am all about that. With the Wretched Thralls rule, you'll now be able to bring a number of damned units from Codex Chaos Space Marines. The Dread Masters detachment rule confers bonuses that allows your cultist and knight to benefit from one another. Each Chaos Knight in the army can make a dark sacrifice when it is selected to shoot or fight, trading the worthless lives of its followers for boons from the gods. Worthless Chattel builds on the theme. You may ignore a damned unit in combat when selecting targets or ranged weapons. This stratagem is great for pinning down enemies with cultists even as the mighty Chaos Knights disdain their existence. If they've got actually good synergy. Now here's the thing. Cultists and CSM are good. Even now, Accursed Cultists and Dark Communes are still good, even with the points increases. So Cultists in Chaos Knights will probably be very powerful. All right. Detachment rule. Dread Masters, mortal thralls and foes alike are sacrificed to empower the fallen nobility. Titanic Chaos Knight units from your army have the following abilities. Ooh, okay, this actually plays into another problem Chaos Knights currently have. Right now, the way you play Chaos Knights is with War Dogs. You do not take your Titanic Knights. This might give them a means to actually put their big knights on the table, which is what a lot of Chaos Knight players have been asking for. Dread Tyrant's Aura. While a friendly damned unit is within 9 inches of this unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack roll, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. Cultists with reroll hits and wounds. And that includes the Dark Commune. That includes... Damn it. That includes the Dark Commune. That includes a Cursed Cultist. We're already off to a fabulous start. This is already good. Chaos Knight units from your army have the following abilities. Dark Sacrifice. Each time a Chaos Knight unit with this ability is selected to shoot or fight, it can make a Dark Sacrifice. If it does, select one damned unit within 6 inches. That damned unit, I always love how this keyword ended up with phrases like this, must take a leadership test. If passed, destroy D3 models in the damned unit. If it has failed, destroy D3 plus 3 models in that damned unit. In either case, then select one of the following abilities for your Chaos Knights unit's weapons to have until the end of phase. Lethal hits or sustained hits 1. So this is Dark Rituals, but it's for your Chaos Knights, and you are always killing. Now, it should be noted, this is not mortal wounds. You are not inflicting mortal wounds on the cultists. They are losing models. So you don't want to use this on like a Dark Commune or an Accursed Cultist, because then you're going to be killing a lot of value. But as long as you've got other types of cultists or other units, other damned units in your army that are just regular one wound traff, you can easily use this. Things like, I think Felgor Beastmen are damned. I think the Renegade Guard are damned. So. Wretched Thralls. You can include damned units in your army. See Codex Chaos Space Marines. The combined point cost for such units depends on your battle side. Incursion, it can be up to a quarter of your army. Each a quarter of your army. This is okay. The fact that you might be thinking, like, for example, with Brood Brothers, you can take up to half. You might be thinking that's a small amount, but remember, you're playing Chaos Knights. Your models are big and expensive. These are cultists. They are tiny and cheap. So you can fit a lot of cultists into 500 points. You can fit an absolute ton of cultists into 500 points. So this is perfectly fine. All right, let's take a look at these enhancements. Profane Altar. This ancient and thoroughly corrupted knight suit is a walking idol of the dark gods and a conduit for their malign powers. As servile thralls bleed and die, so do its weapons sieve with unholy power. Chaos Knights models only. Each time the bearer makes a dark sacrifice, the maximum number of models are destroyed in the selected damn unit. So only 3 or 6. But until the end of the phase, the bearer's weapons have both lethal hits and sustained hits 1. And it's 20 points. I think that could afford to be cheaper. You're gonna chew through your cultists really quickly this way, by the way. Pave the Way, 15 points. The Callous Noble dispatches teeming hordes of mutants and mortal devotees to map the path ahead and scout the battlefield for prey. Chaos Knight model only. At the start of the declare battle formation step, you can select up to 3 damned units from your army. The selected units have scout 6 inches. Money. You are always taking this. You are always taking this. That is an absolutely fantastic enhancement. Tyrant's Banner, 5 points. Well, that's nice. That's a nice cheap enhancement. A tyrannical butcher, this noble knight suit bears the corrupted house tattered and gored flecked banner. This icon of depravity flutters overhead, inspiring mortal devotees to acts of sickening violence. Chaos Knights models only. Each time the bearer makes a dark sacrifice, select one visible damned unit to take a leadership test instead of a damned unit within 6 inches. So this greatly extends the range. You're a knight, so visibility is not an issue. This is basically, you get to pick any. So you could leave some cultists back in your home field, and you are still like, hey, sacrifice yourself and empower me. Yeah, this is kind of what I wish the Neurotyrant one cost. Diabolical Resilience, 35 points. With its pilot consumed by imperious arrogance and its systems clotted with malefic corruption, this venerable warsuit refuses to yield, contemptuously shrugging off the incoming fire. Chaos Knight model only. The bearer has Feel No Pain 6+, which, as we discussed earlier, is fantastic for knights. And you can ignore any or all modifiers to its move characteristic and to its advance or charge rolls made for it. 35 points. Because this is good. This is good. This is an enhancement you want to take. I'm just not sure about 35 points. It is a knight. That is a lot of extra wounds. Basically, mathematically extra wounds you're giving your knight. I don't know. This is one I'd have to math out a bit. All right. Here are our stratagem sections. We've got 1 CP strategic ploy, Avenge the Masters. As the object of their adulation is consumed by fire, mortal worshippers are roused to a desperate fury, seeking vengeance on behalf of their deceased master. Use in any phase. 1 Chaos Knight unit from your army that was just destroyed. You can use this stratagem on that unit, even though it was just destroyed. Until the end of the battle, the enemy unit that destroyed your unit is marked. Each time a damn model from your army makes an attack that targets a marked unit, that attack has lethal hits. So, I can tell you from experience that stratagems like this can be a lot of fun. This is one you don't want to use. You don't want your knight to die. Like, you want the damned units to be dying, not your knight. But still, like, you're probably going to use this, you know, roughly once a game, and you'll be glad to use it when you can. Unrestrained Rage. Iconoclast Fiefdom Strategic Ploy Stratagem 1 CP. When consumed with battle lust, fallen nobles pilot their knight suits with instinctive skill, rampaging through the enemies with horrific speed and savagery. Use in your movements phase, just after a Chaos Knight unit from your army advances or falls back, that you target that unit. Until the end of turn, your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced or fell back. I like the timing on this one too. I've talked about timing a little bit in these stratagem sections, but this means you get to see what you got for your advance. So if you don't get your knight where you want your knight to be, you do not have to take this. You don't have to call your shot to begin with. But if you do get them, you can spend the CP and bam, they're in range to charge. They get to blast away with your weapons. This is a great stratagem. Worthless Chattel. 1 CP strategic ploy. The callous nobility of iconoclast houses care not for their devotees, obliterating enemies and mortal thralls alike in furious barrages of infernal firepower. I have a feeling I know what this is going to do. Use in your shooting phase 1 damned unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, enemy units are not considered to be within engagement range of your unit for the purpose of selecting targets or ranged weapons. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model loses a wound, while that model's unit is within engagement range of your unit, roll a d6. On a 4-up, 1 model from your unit is destroyed after attacking units has finished making its attacks. This is great. I love this. You get to tie up your opponent's units with your damned, and then you still get to blast them to smithereens. And you lose some cultists. Again, be careful with this one. It is, again, not mortal wounds. You are destroying models, so you do not want to use this on a dark commune, and you do not want to use this on a cursed cultist. Wretched Masses. Uh-oh, we got another 2 CP one. Battle Tactic Stratagem. In the wake of striding knights are dragged tides of desperate zealots. No sooner has one horde of baying mortals fallen than another surges forth to take their place. Uh-oh. Any phase, 1 damn unit, excluding a cursed cultist. Okay, so they're saying, nope, no, don't you dare. We know what you want to do. No, don't do it. 1 damned unit from your army that was just destroyed. You can use the stratagem on that unit even though it was just destroyed. Effect. Add a new unit to your army identical to your destroyed unit in the strategic reserves as its starting strength and with all of its wounds remaining. Restrictions. You can only use the stratagems once per battle. You can only use it once per battle. This stratagem cannot be used to return destroyed character units to attached units. 2 CP, this is reinforcements, and we all know reinforcements is good. So you get reinforcements, yeah. Enough said there. Preserve the idols. 1 CP strategic ploy stratagem. Driven to preserve their fallen noble overlords, masses of mutants, cultists, and corrupted soldiers rush to interpose themselves between their knightly idols and the cursed foe. 1. Your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move, 1 Chaos Knight unit from your army that is within 9 inches of that enemy unit. Select 1 damned unit from your army that is not battle shocked, not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, and is within 6 inches of that unit. That damned unit can make a normal move up to 6 inches, but it must end this move closer to the enemy unit than when it started. So it's a 1 CP surge move, and it follows all the surge move rules, basically. So surge moves are great. You've already got some. The big thing here is a cursed cultist have a surge move to begin with. So you cannot, we know from the core rules compendium, you cannot stack surge moves. So this has to be used on one of your lesser cult units. But you're going to need to bring tons of your lesser cult units because of the way this detachment works. Soul Hunger. 1 CP Iconoclast Fiefdom Battle Tactic. Demonic corruption, both physical and spiritual, has debased once noble machines as the pilots of corrupted knight suits slaughter mortal victims. Their mechanical steeds feed upon stolen life forces and raw fear. Use in the fight phase just after a Chaos Knight unit from your army has fought, and you pick that Chaos Knight unit. If 1 or more models were destroyed as a result of those attacks, your unit regains up to D3 lost wounds. If 1 or more models from battle shocked units were destroyed as a result of those attacked, your units regain up to D3 plus 2 lost wounds instead. So 1 CP regeneration. This is a good stratagem section. So I would say this is A to S tier stratagems. Just the fact that it's got reinforcements and a surge move are really good. You got regen, which on knights is evil. You've got advance and charge and shoot, and it's the good type of advance and charge and shoot. You can shoot at enemy units that you've tied up in combat. This is an A to S tier stratagem section. The enhancements. This is B tier, I think. This is a B tier enhancement section. I'm not sure about this one. I'd have to map this out. But you're probably going to take Profane Altar, and you're probably going to take Tyrant Spanner. And then the detachment rule is the best part of the detachment rule is only affecting a small portion of your army points-wise. However, that portion of your army is going to be a massive model count. This is going to be a lot of models compared to the rest of your army. And they're going to be doing a lot of shooting and fighting with these rules. As long as you keep your army distributed properly. And then, giving For the Dark Gods, giving a worse For the Dark Gods to Chaos Knights, but only worse for your cultists, is I think a really cool role. We know that this is powerful in CSM, so I'd say this is a B to A tier detachment role. So this is a good detachment. CK has a lot of synergy in their original detachment. This is all about creating a combined arms detachment. This is very, very fun and very fluffy. I do not know if it is more powerful than War Dog spam in the Traitorous Lance. However, we know CK players want to be taking their big knights onto the battlefield. And this rule specifically is about your big knights. This is saying, don't worry about war dogs. You can take them. You can totally take war dogs in this army. Okay. But what you're doing here is you're taking your big knights and then you're taking a bunch of cultists. So, and you got this. And here's the thing. Again, do not underestimate Chaos Cultists. They are actually really, really good and efficient units. Dark Commune is good. Everyone knows Dark Commune is good. Everyone knows Accursed Cultist is good. But OG original cultists are actually really, really efficient and really good at what they do. Do not sleep on them. So this is, I think, a detachment that CK players... The only thing is obviously if you're playing Chaos Knights and you're not playing CSM, you don't already have the cultists. And you're going to have to paint up a ton of freaking cultists to put into this army. So it might take a bit before we see players trying this on the table. But I think CK players are going to try this on the table eventually. It gives them an excuse, again, to take their big knights onto the battlefield. And it is a fun and fluffy detachment, I think. I'm not sure. Again, I think my hunch is that this isn't going to be more powerful than War Dog Spam, but it'll still be good. It'll still be something you can bring to the battlefield and have success with. So it is fun and fluffy, and it's, I think, a good detachment. All right. No, wrong one. This one. All right. On to the Loyalists. Whoop. The Questor Forge Pact. Ooh. Oh, that's right. I was going to read the... That was silly of me. I should read the thing. You know what? We're just going to start... We're just going to go from here. Bound by oaths of fealty or not, many knightly houses enjoy close relationships with the priesthood of the Adeptus Mechanicus. So we might be seeing another combined arms list. Whether answering the Martian priesthood's calls to arms or prosecuting their own wars of liberation against the Emperor's foes, noble families regularly pilot their warsuits to battle alongside their Protect Priest allies. The Skitarii soldiery are inspired by the presence of these ancient engines of destruction, utterly awestruck psalms of veneration as they advance fearlessly towards the foe. In turn, the noble champions are blessed and inspired by the chanted prayers as the machine cult in their war suits, empowered by the skills of the tech priests and artificers, are of incomparable talent. We're going to see that we're flipping the coin. This is going to be the exact same detachment we just read, different rules and everything, but the theme is the same. Except instead of taking a bunch of cheap cultists, you're taking like some Skitarii, you're taking some Vanguard, you're taking some infiltrators. All right, detachment rule, cog-bound alliance. The nobles of Questor Mechanus houses commonly fight alongside the armies of Forge Worlds. They are bound together by their shared devotion to the machine cult. Imperial Knight units from your army have the following ability. Sacristan Pledge. In your command phase, one model in this unit regains 1 lost wound. If this unit is within 3 inches of 1 or more friendly tech priest models, one model in this unit regains up to D3 lost wounds instead. Adeptus Mechanicus units from your army have the following ability. Divine Inspiration. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. If the unit is within 6 inches of 1 or more friendly Imperial Knight units, reroll a wound roll of 1 instead. So you're not doing as much damage as the CK counterpart is. Okay, you are not doing as much damage, but you've got higher quality units on the battlefield, and you are restoring wounds to knights, which is potentially a very powerful ability. And your AdMech allies are always getting reroll hits of 1. Now, they have to be within 6 inches, where the cultists had to be within 9. But it's not just that they... pardon me. But, again, it's not just that they already have the reroll of hits of 1. It's any Imperial Knight. So you can use this. You can trigger War Dogs. You can use the War Dogs to trigger this. So you can have your AdMech advancing alongside War Dogs. And I'm guessing we're going to have the same thing. You can include the following Adeptus Mechanicus units in your army: Tech Priest Dominus, Tech Priest Manipulus, Skitarii Marshal, Skitarii Ranger, Skitarii Vanguard. The combined point costs of these units depend on your battle size, and again, it's a quarter of them. No Adeptus Mechanicus models from your army can be your warlord. So this is a great selection. This is a great selection to have. Now, this is going to be a much smaller model count than the CK does. These are obviously more expensive units, but Skitarii are fantastic. Skitarii are, well, I should take it back. Skitarii are fantastic in AdMech. Skitarii with these rules will probably still be okay. We'll have to see what kind of stratagems they get. But Skitarii with these rules will still be pretty good, I think. All right, enhancements. Omniscient Champion, 30 points. The Omniscient Priesthood has thrice blessed this champion of the Machine God and their Knight Suits core. It burns with a zeal that cannot be quenched. Imperial Knights models only, add 4 to the wounds characteristic. 30 points for 4 wounds on a Knight. Yeah, take that. Take that. Knights of the Opus Machina. 20 points. A devotee of the Omniscient Creed, this noble is inspired by the presence of the Adeptus Mechanicus fighting with greater zeal and vigor in their holy presence. Imperial Knight model only. Each time the bearer makes a ranged attack, if the bearer is within 6 inches of one or more friendly Adeptus Mechanicus units, reroll a hit roll of 1. So this has anti-synergy with Lalo the Tyrant, but it also means that you don't have as much pressure to take Lalo the Tyrant. I should also note this is only ranged attacks, so. And 20 points for that on a Knight is probably pretty good. Magos Questoris, 35 points. An expert in the intricate mechanisms and weapons systems of Imperial Knights, this tech priest taught sacristans their craft. They now walk in the shadows of these war machines and make field repairs in the midst of battle. Tech priest model only, while the bearer is within 3 inches of one or more friendly Imperial Knight units. It has the lone operative ability. In your command phase, select one friendly Imperial Knight model within 3 inches of bearer. This model regains up to 2 lost wounds. I don't think this stacks with Sacristan Pledge, but it does mean you can select another model to get Sacristan Pledge, and then you've got a lone op, and some like a Tech Priest Dominus with lone op is pretty freaking sweet. So Vocifer Magnificat Aura, 15 points. This Titanic war machine carapace bristles with vox grills and laud hollers that project binaric prayers to the machine god. These static chants serve both to unnerve the foe and fill the faithful of the Omnissiah with holy fervor. Imperial Knight models only. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, worsen their leadership characteristic of models in that unit by 1. While a friendly Adeptus Mechanicus unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, improve the leadership characteristic of models in the Adeptus Mechanicus unit by 1. So this is... I think you leave this at home. I think you take Omniscient Champion and Knight of Opus Machina. And I think maybe you take Knight of... I'm seeing this as kind of a C to B tier stratagem section or enhancement section. Because there's some anti-synergy here. We've got, I mean, it's good, but you're basically, all you're doing is improving a rule you have for your ranged weapons. This is okay. It's just, 35 points. Like, I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, it is a flat 2 wounds that you're recovering. And you do gain lone op. I don't know. And then leadership buffs. Leadership buffs aren't bad. It depends, but they're very dependent on the army you're fighting. Like you're fighting CK, this is great. Like if you're doing a mirror match or a dark mirror match, I should say. If you're doing a dark mirror match where you're playing this detachment into the CK detachment, this is going to be good. But this might just be something you fill points with. Oh. All right, stratagems. Omniscient Grace, or Omniscience Grace. Strategic ploy, 1 CP. So resolute is their faith that the machine god's worshippers brave storms of killing fire, trusting in the Omnissiah to shield them from harm. Used in any phase just after a mortal wound is allocated to an Imperial Knight or Adeptus Mechanicus unit army. Or just after a mortal wound is allocated. Okay, so you can use this at any time. The only thing that triggers this is when you have been dealt mortal wounds and either you or your opponent is allocating that to a model. That Imperial Knight or Adeptus Mechanicus unit. Until the end of the phase, models in your unit have a 5-up feel no pain against mortal wounds. This is situational, but you will be happy to have it when you need it. Machine Focus. 1 CP strategic ploy, soothing psalms programs loaded by the tech breeze, focus target arrays, and enhance the responsiveness of the noble pilot's mighty knight suit. You use it in the command phase, and it's 1 Imperial Knight unit from your army. Until the start of your next turn, your unit can ignore any and all modifiers to the following: the weapon skill or ballistic skill characteristic of weapons equipped by its models, or any hit or wound roll made for it. I wish this also had damage. I really wish this also had ignore modifiers to damage. Again, this is situational. You will be happy to have it when you use it. You will use this one a lot more than you will use this one. You will go entire battles without seeing this, without needing to use this. The big thing is that you might use this on is targets who have stealth. That's the big one that you're gonna use this is for when you're facing a lot of enemy units that have stealth. The biggest problem that I have with this stratagem is you got to call it. You have to call it in your command phase. So you have to know that you're going to need to use this. In other words, you have to know that this knight is going to make it into a board state where it is going to be shooting at a unit or trying to attack a unit that it's going to have penalties in. So again, this is mostly going to be used as anti-stealth. Vengeance of the Machine Cult. 1 CP strategic ploy. Those who dare to fell the machine god's creations find themselves subject to vengeance of the Adeptus Mechanicus. I have a feeling I know what this is. Any phase, 1 Imperial Knights unit from your army that was just destroyed, you can use this stratagem on that unit even though it was just destroyed. Until the end of the battle, the enemy unit that destroyed your unit is marked. Each time an Adeptus Mechanicus model from your army makes an attack that targets the marked unit, that attack has the lethal hits ability. Yeah, this is fun. This is very fun and fluffy. Again, you're not always going to get to use this because, well, you're not always going to want to use this because you're going to try to not let your Imperial Knights die. But seeing as how you can use this on a war dog, or on a, not a war dog, darn it. Brain no wordy. An armiger. You can use it on an armiger. Aggression besets aggression. Aggression begets aggression. 1 CP for strategic ploy. Driven by the wrathful whisperings of their throne mechanicum, the noble pilots guide their knight suits forward, weapons blazing with every step, inspired by their titanic ally. The warriors of the Adeptus Mechanicus follow suit, pushing their cybernetic systems to the limit. Used in your shooting phase, you target 1 Imperial Knights unit from your army or 1 Imperial Knights character unit from your army and 1 friendly Adeptus Mechanicus unit that is within 6 inches of that unit. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your units have the assault keyword. Assault is relevant, and the fact that you can use this on potentially two units is also very relevant. So this is good. Bonded Imperative. 1 CP Epic Deed Stratagem, tapping into the new spheric battle sphere. This noble pilot issues binary commands directly into the minds of the Adeptus Mechanicus allies. Use in your command phase just before an Imperial Knight's character unit from your army uses a Bondsman ability. That Imperial Knight's character unit, when selecting targets for the unit of the Bondsman ability, you can select one friendly Adeptus Mechanicus unit within 12 inches of your unit, in addition or instead of selecting one Armiger model. Until the start of your next command phase, every model in that Adeptus Mechanicus unit is affected by the Bondsman ability. Restriction: you cannot target a Knight Preceptor with this stratagem. What's the Preceptor do again? Oh, that's a... Nope, here it is. Knight Preceptor, Bondsman. While a model is affected by this ability, improve that model's leadership characteristic by 1 and improve the model's objective characteristic by 2. Okay. All right. That's fine. So yeah, this is a really good stratagem. You're going to use this every command phase if you can. And you're going to try to, you're going to attack, because it is, it is in addition or instead. So you do not have to have an Armiger, so you can just select an AdMech unit. Or you can target both an AdMech unit and an Armiger. This is great. Thronegeist Fury, 1 CP strategic floor stratagem. As augurs detect enemy movements, the pilot's throne mechanicum comes alive with the whispered fury of their ancestors. Weapon systems flare instinctively to life. Dispense the hatred of long-dead nobles upon the unfortunate foe. Use in your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit is set up or ends a normal advance or fallback move. One Imperial Knight's Titanic unit from your army that is within 24 inches and visible to that enemy unit. Select one ranged weapon equipped by a model in your unit. That model can shoot at that enemy unit, and only if it is an eligible target. When doing so, that model can only make attacks with that weapon, and each time it makes a ranged attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 is required to score a hit, irrespective of the attacking weapon's ballistic skill or any modifiers. So, in case you did not know, Knights can't Overwatch. Titanic models cannot use the Overwatch stratagem. You just gained a lesser version of Overwatch for your Knights. So now in this army, and here's the thing, this is still not the Overwatch stratagem. So you can still use Overwatch on an Armiger or on one of the AdMech units. And then you can use this on your big Knight. So this is fantastic. This is fantastic. These two are situational. This is good. And this is fun. So this is, I would say, a solid A tier stratagem list. Maybe as low as B tier. There's nothing really in here that you're going to be spamming a lot. For the most part, except for maybe aggression begets aggression, depending on how things are. You're going to be using this one every turn, though. And you're going to use Thronegeist Fury every chance you get a chance to. So there are some situational elements to this, but I think that the ones you're going to be regularly using are good enough to make this an A-tier stratagem list. So this is again, we got a fun and fluffy one, and it is good. It is, I'm going to give it the adjective solid. I do not think this is as good a detachment as the CK detachment is. But it is still a solid detachment. It is still fun and fluffy. We know that the Knights are currently struggling with their current detachment rules. So we're probably going to see this on the battlefield with one caveat. I can't not mention this, though. You are putting AdMech models in your army. AdMech is expensive. AdMech is fun, but time-consuming to paint. And I say that as someone who loves painting. If you don't like painting, you are going to hate trying to paint AdMech. I love painting, so I love painting AdMech. But yeah, that is honestly the biggest caveat of this. Otherwise, I think we are going to see people play around with this. You can still obviously take the other two detachments for pure knight lists. But I do think we will see some people play around with this, especially since the big weakness of knights is that you're usually allying in models in order to gain objective control and battlefield control. You're usually allying in Imperial agents into your knight list, but those allied Imperial agents don't do anything for you. Now you can ally in some Skitarii, and those Skitarii models will benefit your army. They will get a buff from your detachment rule, and you will gain a buff from having at least one tech priest with you. You don't have to take a tech priest with you, but you can take a tech priest and get a small buff from it. And then your stratagems will actually be coordinated and benefit all of the units in your army. Now, is this as powerful as if they decide not to fix Halos Greed, which is currently potentially broken? Because you can put knights, you can put Canis Rex in Halos Greed, and yeah, they benefit. Yes, we are gaming. We are the gaming. Well, right now we're not gaming. We're talking about the gaming. Thank you for joining me, Judge. But yeah, you are unfortunately coming in just at the end because I'm about to wrap up. So yeah, final thoughts. I think we will see both of these detachments on the table. I do not know that they are really going to replace, I do not know that this is actually better than playing a classic Imperial Knight army. I do not know that the other one is better than playing War Dog spam. But I think they are both very fun and very fluffy. I think the main thing that's going to be restricting us seeing them on the table is all of those Knight players suddenly having to paint up a bunch of cultists or having to paint up a bunch of AdMech. But we're going to see them. People are going to try them out. And I think they're going to be fun. And I think people are going to have some success with them. But these are not by any stretch of the means like broken or overpowered detachments. These are, I would say, again, they are solid to good detachments. They are a nice thing to have if you are a Chaos Knight or Imperial Knight player. So anyway, that's where I think I stand on these. I've been Divine Erdrick.